Stop. Hey, thanks, man. Give it up for homeboy here. Thanks, man. Y'all ready to rock? A few things before we get going. Some of them are serious, some of them aren't. One serious. I've been asking people this the past few weeks. How many of y'all watched this last half of Stranger Things? Okay. For those of y'all who watched it, so the scene where homeboy was playing the guitar. Tell me that wasn't the craziest thing you've seen, right? All right, that's all. That was useless. Second thing. What was it? Oh yeah. I need to revisit this again because I don't think we turned up enough. When I say that your youth pastors and the volunteers are the actual MVPs, I mean like heroic in heaven. So let's turn up for them one more time. All right. And here's the last one. Let's lock in. I think Jesus has some words for us tonight that I'm genuinely not exaggerating this. I think the words that Jesus has for us tonight can shape the direction of all of our lives. So let's lock in and see what he has to say. Let's read this one more time together. Matthew chapter 7, verses 24 to 27. It says, "Everyone then who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise person who built their house on the rock. And the rain fell and the floods came and the winds blew and beat on that house, but it did not fall because it had been founded on the rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish person who built their house on the sand. And the rain fell and the floods came and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it." Father, thank you for your word. Speak to us tonight. Amen. Do me a favor. Just tap somebody next to you and say, "Friend, I'm under construction." Now tap the second person, tap another person. "Friend, are you under construction?" Here's our title, if you will. Here's our theme. Here's the title. The title tonight we're going to talk about is being under construction. So I told y'all, my wife and I, we've been married almost 4 years now. Thanks. When we first got married, we moved into a loft in downtown Joplin. And then in 2020, she wanted a house, so we moved into a house. But here's the thing. No one taught us what it meant and what it entailed to actually own a house. Here's the things I learned in school. Some of y'all might relate. When I was in school, I learned that I can say may instead of can. I learned that. I learned something called Pythagorean's theorem when I was in school. Here's the thing. I learned how to finish this sentence. Conjunction, junction, what's your... But you know what I didn't learn? What it meant to own a house. So most of what we learned just by diving in. So for example, here's the thing. No one told me that when you go from the 6th floor of a loft downtown to like a house with a backyard in nature, that there's actually nature there. So check this. It's the whole first year I didn't mow my lawn. I paid somebody else to mow my lawn because I'm too good for that. And so then the second year I had to mow my lawn. And so I'm mowing the lawn, and my wife, she has a garden in the back of the backyard. So I'm mowing the lawn, and I run over this stick, and I have my AirPods in, and I was like, oh, it's no biggie, it's a stick. And then the stick's eyes open. Then that stick's mouth open. Its neck kicked back and looked at me. And I can't prove this, but I'm almost positive through my AirPods that thing said, "I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want, but I got a particular set of skills. And when I get from under this lawnmower, I'm going to find you and I'm going to kill you." So I'm like, say less, fam. So I Naruto literally Naruto run through my backyard. I Heisman my Australian Shepherd Roscoe. I stiff arm my Doberman Tank. I pick up a shovel, run into my living room. All my wife sees is a black burr. I get to the back of the house and she said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "There's a Demogorgon outside." And so she was like, "What are you gonna do?" And I was like, "Well, I'm the man of the house. I gotta be a provider and a protector, so I'll cheer you on while you go get it." Real life. My wife is in front of me and I'm behind her with the shovel like, "We gonna kick you in the..." So when she gets back there, we get to the Demogorgon, and it turns out it was smaller than I originally realized. And she says, "Jaron, that's a garter snake." And I said, "It's Vecna. It's not a Demogorgon." So she's over here trying to shoo it away and trying to be all nice to it, and I'm back here peeing my pants. So finally I'm like, "Chelsea, you gotta do something." So I like go Incredible Hulk, take its neck off, run into the backyard. I could have sworn I heard its homies in the back saying, "Hey, cuz, where you going?" So then I run into the house, and I went and bought protection because I don't want to get in a gang fight with snakes. No one taught me that nature was gonna be in nature. Here's another one. No one taught me that owning a house meant that something in my house is constantly under construction. Adults, if you own a house, say amen. Amen. No one told me that there's always something you gotta work on and be constructing. For instance, some of y'all probably build stuff like I build stuff or put stuff together. You get the box, and then you open it up, and they have that little pack of instructions, but you're like, they don't know what they're talking about. I know what I'm doing. So then you start to try to build it yourself. So I had to build this thing for our backyard, like a little storage unit, and I start building it, and it's perfect. And then I call Chelsea out, and I'm like, "Hey, babe, come look at what your tall, dark, handsome man just did." And she comes out, and as soon as she comes out, a gust of wind blows, and the thing falls apart. And now I'm yelling at this plastic thing like we got beef now. Like, you're trying to make me look bad in front of my girl. And so she's like, "Read the instructions." I'm like, "No, they don't know what they're talking about." And she's like, "Well, maybe you should do this." And I said, "Chelsea, don't make me mansplain this to you. You don't know what this is either." So then I call one of my homeboys. Oh, shut up, boys, you do it too. I call one of my homeboys, and they're telling me this stuff, and I got all these people giving me answers that I need, all these people giving me answers to my questions, and finally, 2 weeks later, we got it built, and you know what? Who was right? My wife. Boys, girls, I got you. Boys, relationship advice, 9 out of 10, she's probably right. Check this. Okay, so here is the dilemma. Here is the dilemma. I needed answers to my questions while that thing was under construction because the answers would help me build the thing right. I had questions. I needed answers because the answers would help me build the thing right. You know what no one told me about life? That I have questions that I need answers to, because the answers to my questions end up letting me build my life right. Has anyone told you that your life is constantly under construction? Has anyone told you that as your life is constantly under construction, you're constantly building a sense of identity? You're constantly building a friend group. You're constantly building a trajectory and a path forward. And as you build, there are some pretty important questions that we ask. Here's some that me and my homeboys ask. Is there a God? If there is one, what's this God like? Who am I? Where do I belong? Whose am I? What will make me happy? What's right? What's wrong? What makes something right? What makes something wrong? I've got all these questions that I need answers to because the answers to those questions help me build my life right. For instance, some of you, you've asked the question, who am I? And you've gotten an answer. Let's just talk about the sports people. I was a sports player. I asked the question, who am I? And as I was in high school, the answer that I got was from basketball that said, you're a basketball player. And I ended up building my life based on that answer. Whatever it means to dress like a ball player, I did that. Whatever it meant to talk like one, I did that. The answers that we get to our questions end up determining how we build our life. So as we're under construction, here's the question we need to be asking. Where can I get answers to my questions? I think that's the big question for tonight. As our life is under construction, where can I go for answers to my questions? Enter Jesus into the conversation. This parable, this story that Jesus just told us starts the conversation on where we get questions to our answers. And I'm just going to give you it straight out. Jesus, he'll kind of say, technically, if we're going to be real, technically, you can go anywhere. But then Jesus flips it on us. He says, I'll answer your question with the question. You can technically go anywhere, but where will you go? That's Jesus' question to you. Where will you actually go? And he uses the metaphor of a house. So let's rephrase it. He says, what kind of builder will you be? And there are two kinds of builders that Jesus he gives us. He gives us a wise builder. Shout the word wise. And he gives us a foolish builder. Shout the word foolish. These are the options, and he says, what kind will you be? I guess if you want to know what kind you'll be, you have to know what it actually means to be these kinds. So let's run through these two. Shout foolish. The first builder that Jesus gives us is a foolish builder. And Jesus, he says, everyone who hears my words and doesn't do them, everyone who hears what I say, who hears my answers, but doesn't build with my answers is like a foolish builder. Here's what foolish means. Foolish means you didn't think it all the way through. Foolish means you didn't think about the results or the consequences to your actions. Let me give you a quick example. When I was in high school, when I graduated, how many of y'all graduated this year in 2022? Okay, so I was at that summer, the between high school and college summer, I was living my best life. And I had this high school sweetheart girlfriend, and we was doing the summer loving thing, and we was like going to the movies together and going on walks together. It was real cute. But then I got to my college campus, and like the first day on campus, I saw this other girl, and I was like, I think I want to have puppies with you. I don't know, like I need some. And so then I'm like, but I got a girlfriend back home. So I was like, here's my plan. I was like, here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to break up with you. I'm going to break up with my high school girlfriend, but only halfway break up with her. Just enough to give me room to go talk to this other girl. Some of y'all are looking at me crazy like you don't do the same thing. But you do. So I started to text my high school girlfriend. She'd text me and be like, I love you. And I text back and be like, love you. And she'd hold my hand and try to cross fingers, but I wouldn't cross fingers. Just break up with her just enough. And so then I go back to this girl on my college campus, and we're at this event. And afterwards, I was like, hey, can I have your number? And she was like, no. And I was like, no. So I run back to my dorm room, get my phone, text my high school girl, and I'm like, you're the only girl for me. I love you. Are you riding? Because you said you never ever leave from beside me. Are you down for me always? And you know what she told me? I got a text on my phone that said, sorry, who is this? Apparently, 18-year-old Jaron didn't think it all the way through. He didn't realize that the result of the action of breaking up with the girl would be that she'd actually leave. I didn't think it all the way through. This is what foolishness is. Jesus says foolishness is not thinking your plan all the way through. It's not thinking about what the results to your actions will be. He says, when you hear my words but don't build with my answers, you're foolish. Jesus has a little brother named James who wrote the book of James in your Bible, and he rephrases it. James says, if you hear Jesus' words but don't build with Jesus' words, he says you've deceived yourself. 2,000 years before Khaled ever did it, James came on and said, you're not building with Jesus' answers? Congratulations. You played yourself. You've memorized all the scripture, but you haven't actually started to walk it out. Congratulations, you've played yourself. You've grown up in a Christian church in youth group, but you haven't actually started to follow the words of Christ. Congratulations, you played yourself. You're at CIY, singing, hands up, front row, but don't actually build with Jesus' words. Congratulations, you played yourself. But here's the thing. I don't think it's just those who hear Jesus' words and don't do them that are foolish. I think what Jesus is saying is anyone who doesn't build with my answers is foolish. Building with any answers that aren't Jesus' answers is being a foolish builder. Here's the thing I know about humans. You are building with somebody's answers. So here's the question. Whose answers are you accepting? Whose answers are you accepting about who God is? Whose answers are you accepting about who you are? Who are you listening to? Somebody on TikTok? Who are you listening to? Your feelings? Who are you listening to? This message around the world? Here's what you're being told right now, because I'm being told it. Right now, one of the biggest messages in the airwaves is for you to get off and look deep down inside and either find what you think is really right or decide what you think is really right. Here's what I've learned. I can't halfway pick out an outfit in the morning. And I'm going to look inside of myself and decide what I think is right. I know some of y'all. Some of y'all are saying, no, I accept Jesus' answers, but I've learned a lot of the time you're accepting the answers of someone who tells you what they think Jesus would be like. So somebody on YouTube who makes you feel good and telling you, well, this is what Jesus would say. And you never opened up the Bible once. Whose answers are you building with? And Jesus says, here's why it's foolish. Because when you build your life with answers that aren't mine, it's like building your dream home on a beach. There's like 80,000 of y'all from Florida. Y'all know what a beach is like. It's like building your house on a beach. He says, it looks real pretty. It's gorgeous. But then a storm comes and the whole thing topples over because its foundation, its support system was weak. When you build on any answers that aren't Jesus's, your whole support system will be too weak to hold you up when life gets hard. So check this. I can't swim. Fun fact, me and my friends, we were at a pool once, which I'm the kind of guy who goes to a pool dressed like this. Shoes tied, because I don't plan on taking them off and getting in that water. And they were like, yo, let's play chicken. And I was like, I can't swim. And then my homeboys started talking trash. So I was like, get in the water, I'ma kill you. And so I got one of my friends on my shoulders, and he got another one of our friends on their shoulders, and we're in the 3-foot side, and I'm over here hyperventilating, trying not to drown, and we looked like an absolute unit. We looked good. But then homegirl up here tapped my partner, and all it did, just a little splash of water in my eyeball. And I blacked out. I could have sworn a shark or an octopus grabbed me. Then we all sank in the 3-foot side of the pool. We looked real good. I was a terrible support system. I wasn't strong enough to hold her when she got hit. This is what Jesus is saying to you. When the storm comes, when life hits, that support system you have, if you didn't build your life on Jesus, is too weak to hold you up when life hits. And there are two kinds of storms that I think he's talking about. One, he's talking about when life just happens to you. There's the normal storm of life. Life just happens. This is day-to-day life. Stuff just sucks sometimes. I told you I took the answers of basketball when I was in high school, and somehow basketball, this inanimate thing, kind of like what it does for y'all, talked to me and told me that I am basketball. I am what I do. And I ended up building a pretty nice looking life off of it. Played college ball at a school back in Oklahoma my freshman year, and I was up here. And then some stuff happened, and I had to leave and go back home. Couldn't play basketball for a year, and I had no clue who I was. I saw no way I could ever be happy. I was sleepless for a year. That foundation that basketball gave me wasn't strong enough to hold me up when life got real. Those answers that you've been accepting from that source, do you think that can actually help you when life gets hard? Mental health's a big thing for all of us. How's it actually been helping you with your mental health? How's it actually been helping you with your home life? I know it's hard. Has it actually gave you real good answers? Probably not. And then there's the big storm of life. Jesus teaches that when we all die, at some point, we're going to stand before God, and God inspects our life. And he says, those who pass God's inspection will be with God forever. Those who don't pass God's inspection, they won't be with God forever. And Jesus says, every life that is not built with my answers will not pass the inspection. It's foolish. You're playing yourself. Have you built foolishly before? Because I have. So he says you can be a foolish builder, or then he says you can be a wise builder. Shout wise. One more time, shout wise. He says a wise builder is someone who hears my words and does them, someone who builds with my answers, with Jesus's answers. Wise, it means to know what something really is, to know what to do, and to know the right way to do it. So I got a friend, he was terrible in college, didn't do any work. And then one time he decided, you know what, I'm gonna do this assignment. There's this one assignment I'm gonna do. So he didn't even wait to the actual time to do it. He was working on this thing early, weeks in advance, doing some of his best work, pulling all-nighters. It was a beautiful paper. He got done like a week early, said, I'm not even gonna wait until the due date. I'm gonna walk to my professor's office now. So he walks to his professor's office with that paper, slaps it on his professor's desk, leaves, and doesn't even say anything to his professor. A week later, when they get back to class, and the professor's handing out papers, have you ever gotten a paper back where the professor doesn't give it to you like this, but they fold that thing like that? He got that thing back, and his best paper had a big red F on it. And it had these words, great work, wrong assignment. He didn't actually know what the assignment was supposed to be, which means he didn't know what to do, and he definitely didn't know how to do it. But my wife, she just graduated with her master's. She had this real big final project that she did, and she spent weeks studying the syllabus, asking the professor questions. She got a full understanding of what the assignment was. She knew exactly how to do the assignment and what to do, and she knew the best way to get it done, and ended up getting an A. Wisdom is check this, it's understanding what this assignment called life actually is. It's understanding what you're supposed to do, and it's understanding the best way to do it. Jesus says, when you accept my answers, you are understanding the assignment called life. But here's what I've learned. One of the main reasons I think we don't build with Jesus' answers is because we somehow convince ourselves that Jesus doesn't have answers for us, that he doesn't have anything to say about what we're actually concerned about. Listen to me. He has something to say about every question, every concern, every complicated situation. Listen to me. He has something to say about it. Right now, one of you are saying, but not this. No, he has something to say about it. You know what your it is. He has something to say about it. He says, this is what wisdom is. And Jesus says, this is why it's wise. Because it's like building your forever home on a rock. It's like building it on stone, on a foundation. You build it, and the storm comes, and nothing happens. In other words, he's saying, when you build your life with my answers, I'll give you a support system that's strong enough to hold you through when life hits. Listen to what he does not say. He did not say the storm won't come. He did not say life won't get too hard. This has been true in my life. This has been true in the lives of friends of mine. We've somehow built this expectation that walking with Jesus means life won't get hard. It means life won't get complicated. It means life won't get uncomfortable. It means everything will be easy peasy and it's a breeze, and Jesus makes life problemless. He never promised the storm won't come. He says the storm will come, but I will hold you up every single time. He's holding you. He's holding you. He's holding you. He's holding you through the storm. He's holding you through the storm. And here are the two storms. Here are the two storms, the storms of life. Jesus says, when life hits, I'll hold you up. I've got a friend, a few years ago, I went to an event like this, and we ended up talking at lunch one day. And he was like, I've got to tell you my story. And so I was like, cool. He was like, Jesus told me, I was asking, where do I belong? And I felt like Jesus said when I was reading the Bible that Jesus said I belong in his family. So I took that as I'm going to start going to youth group. I'll give it a try. And he said life got real good once I started going to youth group. And 2 months later, my parents got a divorce. He said that was the worst time of my life. I had never known anxiety before that day. I'd never been sleepless before that day. And when I'm having this conversation with him, it's 2 years later, and he's happy. And so my question is, why are you here and why are you happy? And he said, my youth group held me up through that whole process. They comforted me through that whole process. They sat with me through that whole process. He asked, where do I belong? Jesus says, with my family. That ended up giving him a foundation that held him up when life got hard. Listen, Jesus says, I will give you answers that give you a foundation that holds you up when life gets hard. Every time. And then the big storm of life, Jesus ends up teaching that the one thing God looks for when he inspects our life is us to have accepted Jesus' answers. If you accept Jesus' answers, you pass God's inspection. He says it's wise. It's wise. You know, it's not just wise, it's also right. Check this. Even if it doesn't look normal. Following Jesus, building with Jesus' answers don't look normal in some of y'all's houses, does it? But it's right. Following Jesus doesn't look normal in some of your schools or your friend groups, does it? But it's right. Following Jesus doesn't look normal in your family, does it? But it's right. Building with Jesus' answers doesn't feel normal to you, does it? It's right. Even if it doesn't look normal, it's still right. So here's his question. He says, what kind of builder are you going to be? You want to know where can you go for answers to your questions? I'm going to flip it on you. What kind of builder are you going to be? You're going to be a wise builder who builds with my answers, or you're going to be a foolish builder who builds with any other answers? You know what I realized? The answer to that question all comes down to who you trust. Here's the thing. You accept the answers of whoever you trust. Where can I go for answers? Whose answer am I going to accept? My gut, my friend, someone on YouTube, just some weird politician and some weird political message? Whose answer am I going to accept? It all comes down to who you trust. That's why some of you are actually following around what some YouTuber says, because for some reason you trust them. But here's the answer we've got to ask ourselves at some point. Why do I trust them? What is it about them that makes me trust them? Jesus, at least 3 times while he was on the earth in 33 years, he says, you can trust me because of what I do. In other words, you can accept my words because of the works that I've done. You can trust me. You can trust what I say because of the things that I've done. I've got a friend, my little brother, actually, he's not a friend. He told me about this YouTuber that he was following. And this YouTuber, he got on YouTube. And he started like posting videos with him, and he'd have like 5 Lamborghinis, and he'd have like a big old house behind him, and he'd have this big old pool, and he'd get on his phone and he'd be like, yo, if you buy my program, you can have all of this. And dude ends up getting rich because people start buying into his program and his words by the masses. And then it came out that all of that stuff he was advertising was rented. It wasn't even his. And so then immediately dude went broke because people stopped buying into his words. They stopped buying into what he said because he didn't actually do the things to back it up. He wasn't the real deal. Because you only buy the words of a person who's put in the work, people who are the real deal. That's why some of you, if you wanted to learn how to shoot a basketball, you buy the words of Steph Curry because he's put in the work of breaking 3-point records. He's the real deal. Some of you want to learn how to cook. You buy the words of SpongeBob because he's put in the works of flooding the streets with Krabby Patties. He's the real deal. So some of you want to learn how to sing. You buy the words of Adele because she's put in the work of all these albums. She's the real deal. Some of y'all want to learn to paint. You buy the words of Bob Ross because he's put in the works of all these beautiful paintings. He's the real deal. As you're asking, who can I go to for answers to my questions? You can buy the words of Jesus because he's put in the work. He's the real deal. Has anyone ever told you about the work that Jesus did to prove that he's the real deal? This dude, Jesus, really was God before the beginning ever began. He really was there and here before space had a place to ever be. He really was born into the world, stepped into the world through the womb of a woman without the help of any single man. He really is God who lived a completely human life in complete perfection. He really carried a cross to be hung up on a hill and a tree that he himself created with his own words. He really went through the storm of death on Friday night. He really went through the storm of death all the way through Saturday. He really went through the storm of death on into Sunday, but way early on Sunday morning, before the sun itself got up, Jesus himself got up. And because he got up, Because he got up, that proves he actually is God like he says. And because he got up, that proves his words actually are true like he says. And because he got up, that proves that he is the real deal and you can accept his words. You're asking, is there a God? Jesus says, yes. You're asking, what's he like? Jesus says he's good. You're asking, who am I? Jesus says you're God's. You're asking, where do I belong? Jesus says, in his family. You're asking, what makes me happy? What's my purpose? To love and be loved by him and his people. Do you hear him talking to you? I'm so glad I put my faith in Jesus. Here's the story of my life. He's never let me down. The rain came and the winds blew, but Jesus, my house, it was built on you. The reign of my father not being around came. The winds of anxiety blew in my life, but Jesus, my life was built on you. Reign of crisis hitting my life cost my wife and I $15,000 this year. The winds of both of my grandfathers dying this year blew, but Jesus, my life was built on you. And because of that, I know I'm going to make it through. There are some of you in the room right now, you're followers of Jesus right now, and you're going through it, and you don't see how you can go another week. And you don't see how you can go another month. You don't see how you can go another year. Listen, so long as your life is built on Jesus, you're going to make it through. Whatever it is, you're going to make it. You're going to make it through depression. You're going to make it through your anxiety. You're going to make it through abuse. You're going to make it through your confusion. You're going to make it through your questions. You're going to make it through your parents' divorce. You're going to make it through a hard time at school. Listen to me. So long as you are built on Jesus, here's his message to you, you will make it through. So you got questions. Where are you going to go? Jesus says, you can come build your life on me. I've got answers. I'm done. I love how he says, everyone who builds their life on me. You know who everyone means? That means you. Who are you? Confused? Who are you? Bad? Who are you? Got questions? Who are you? A church kid? Who are you? Not a church kid? Who are you? You don't even know. You are a part of everyone. And Jesus says, come on. Come build your life on my answers. Come build your life with my words. I will give you a life with a firm foundation. And you can get through every single time. See you under construction? Here's this question. What kind of builder are you going to be? Friends, it'd be wise to build with Jesus. Father, we thank you. Thank you for these promises you've given us. Thank you for approaching us with this great offer that we can build our life on you. There's nothing better than you, Jesus. Even now, convince us, persuade us. Move our hearts to the point of believing that you will be our firm foundation and that we can build our life on your answers. You're good to us, Lord. We thank you.